introduction to ethnobotany, I thought, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to cover in this class? How am I supposed to do this? And my older brother had taken Mike Balick's ethnobotany class, and he sent me the syllabus. And so I was looking through it, and I thought, okay, maybe I can steal some things from Mike Balick, you know? But I thought, you know, when you go to teach an ecology class or do a botany class, there are a wealth of resources online to kind of help you do that. And especially as, do we have anyone in here who teaches at a community college? Okay. Do we have anyone here that teaches at a teaching institution, primarily teaching institution? All right. So we have some people that don't have very much time, right? And we all could use some more time. So I'm going to talk about some of the teaching resources that we have and some of the principles that I think are important when we go to teach. So I'm going to start with this slide because I think this is really something that hits home here and with us. So I used to think that the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that 30 years of good science could address this problem. I was wrong. Okay, the top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. Okay, and to deal with that, we need a cultural and spiritual transformation. And I saw it when I got out to teach, and it was election day, and I said to my class, how many of you have gone and voted today? And only one student raised their hand, okay? And we all know where that got us, right? So I think it's important to think about that the students need to realize that, that part of what we're doing as educators is we can talk all day about climate change and biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse. We can lecture about that for hours. But how are we going to empower people to realize that there can be cultural and spiritual transformations? And they've occurred before, and we can have them in the future. So I think one of the things is thinking about how we think about plants, or how we think about science, or how we think about nature, and it's reframing it back to us as part of that ecosystem, transforming that. So what I'm going to talk about now is a couple questions that come up to me. What are we teaching? What is important to teach? How are we doing it? Where? And who are we teaching? And how can we increase the quality of our teaching and save time? So those are the questions I'm going to focus on right now. So one thing is that in biology, they were like, oh, you know, we used to teach junk DNA. Did anyone ever hear about junk DNA right in school? Okay. And then they realized that was probably the most important part, right? So with something like genetics, it changes so quickly. So in biology, we have to think about what are the skills that we can teach our students that will have a lasting impact on their lives. And there are lots of resources out there to help with that. And this is one, it's called the pulsecommunity.org. And you can sign up, you can evaluate your own classes, and it goes through, it's got all kinds of suggestions for assessment and active learning and different ways to teach. Okay? And the other thing that is important to focus on are what are the competencies that we want our students to come out knowing. So our students come into the class, they leave, we want them to understand some competencies. When you leave my class, you better be able to make a pie crust by the end of, I'm serious. That is an important competency in life, because if you buy it, you're buying some horrible thing and it had to be shipped and was frozen. So you know, it's a competition at the end. Your pie crust better be good. But there are some other things I hope you learn too, right? One of them that I think is important is understanding the process of science, of all these modeling and simulations, but also cross-cultural awareness, how to listen, how to talk to people that think differently than you, right? And then understanding this relationship between science and society, which is something we're all good at as ethnobiologists. And I think it's also important to teach students 4 objectives, what you're going to get out of the class. And they are biology specific and ethnobiology specific. And I also tell them specifically the skills that they're going to learn, whether it's communication skills or reading skills or something like that. And then for each of my courses, I have specific learning objectives. And for each of those learning objectives, I link them to a task and an assessment. And good teaching, it's really important to think of external assessments. So those are ones that you did not design yourself. For instance, when my students do a poster, their poster is evaluated using the Morton guidelines. And I tell them all that, and these are the guidelines for your poster. It's external, and it's going to happen to you in your class. Another way to think about external assessment is looking at all these online resources out there of how students view science. What's their understanding of scientific principles? What do they know about climate change at the end of the class? What that they didn't know before? And I guess I was sorry, Marty, I had to throw this up here. I think one of the things that we have to teach our students is ethical research, how to do ethical research. And I was lucky enough to teach a class and have Nancy Turner call in, which she'll actually do, and explain to the students what are some of the principles she's learned about ethical research. And she said something that I always try to teach now, which is you just treat the people you're working with as if they're part of your family, right? Like as if they're your brothers or your sisters or your aunts or your uncles. And I think that kind of sticks with people too. But kind of making sure the students understand what are the 5 questions you ask before engaging in any research. The other thing is, how are we teaching? So specifically, we know that students learn better when they're actually doing something. And it is amazing to me how many students have really never actually done something, right? They don't knit, they don't cook, they don't, make something with their own hands. And it's great to, at the end of the day, have something that you actually did. This is a scarf we dyed, this is a basket we made, this is something that we've done in the class. And I set up my labs as this is the product that we're going to have at the end, that you're going to have with you, and be able to give to someone or to have in your life. And when I learned plant taxonomy, we had, we're going to cover this family in this lab, and we're going to look at this family. My plant taxonomy classes, we're going to go to a waterfall, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to this destination, go see this waterfall, and then we're going to learn about some of the plants that grow in this community, And I think it's just a way of reframing it to something that they're excited to. We're going to an overlook. Oh, and then we're going to learn the species that occur up there, So how are we teaching it, and how can we make that more student-centered? And I always think about having the students think, where do they see themselves in the future? Why are they in this class? How do they get there? And how do they make the world a better place? Kind of motivating them to be agents of positive change in the world. And I do a lot of work teaching my students how to fell trees, okay? Because I think it's important to know those sorts of skills. And they all learn how to be wildland firefighters, and they learn other practical skills in my classes. And I also spend a lot of time doing assessments of my classes. So I have specific rubrics for everything that I teach, so that they know what the expectations are. And I also give them like little low stakes immediate feedback or other kind of low stakes assessments. And one thing that you can do, here's just an example, is that online there's assessments that you can get. This survey actually lost its funding this year, so it's no longer available. But it would compare your students to all the other students that took that survey. And you can see where your students are versus all other students. education, but also this is not like, oh, we're going to go on a wonderful trip to Costa Rica and wander around, right? This is where are the communities in greatest need? Okay, where are those communities and what do they need? The Appalachian Regional Commission has this distressed counties, which is what I have up here, which then words are important and that naming really bothers me. But I teach there, and I teach in Pine Mountain, Kentucky, and I teach in Cherokee, North Carolina. I also teach in Alaska, all places that have lots of social and ecological issues. And I also spend a lot of time thinking about who we teach. I'm at a school that is this wonderful blend of the rural-urban divide. It's half students from Baltimore, D.C. area, and half students from rural Pennsylvania and West Virginia. And it is great to teach in that community because it's different thinking people talking to each other about problems. I feel really lucky to have that. And I also teach at a school, amazingly enough, in the state of Maryland, community college is free to everyone, okay? I mean, that's how it should be for everywhere, but that was a priority in our state. It's completely free, and if you go to community college, your tuition at Frostburg is under $4,000 a year. Does anyone here teach at a school that has tuition under $4,000 a year? All right, a couple of people. So I think that's important too to think about what is our audience, who are we teaching? And also what are the demographics of our class? And compare that to the demographics of the university. Are we just teaching the women? Are we just teaching the white people? Are we just teaching the people that have the resources to be in our class? Or are we teaching the broader demographic? So, let's see. And this is one of the resources that we have out there that can help us save time. And it is a joint effort between the society, many different societies, including the Ecological Society of America, the Society for the Study of Evolution, and the Botanical Society of America. They all have resources here. It's called lifediscoveryed.org. And you can go on there, and Karen Hall is a great resource on natural dyes. And you can take, it's got all the teaching materials and everything, and you can get that material on there. And I also encourage you to upload your own material on there. We're probably the least involved societies in terms of adding resources to this. But if we can all share our resources, you know, imagine having Eve's talk on coevolution to teach when you talk about coevolution. I mean, all of us in here have lots of valuable resources that we can share, so let's do that. And that's all.